I want you to think about someone for a second. Let us call her Sarah. Sarah is 34 years old. She has been working in marketing for about 10 years. When she started her career, she was earning $48,000 a year. She worked hard, stayed late, learned new skills. Over the decade that followed, she got 4 raises and 2 promotions. She now earns $87,000 a year. That is an increase of almost $40,000 annually since she started. Sarah has $13,000 in savings. Not $130,000, not $50,000. $13,000. $40,000 more per year, a decade of hard work, and she has $13,000 to show for it in accumulated savings. Now here is the thing. Sarah is not irresponsible. She is not addicted to gambling or blowing money on absurd luxury purchases. She is not doing anything that most of her friends and colleagues would describe as financially reckless. She moved into a nicer apartment when she could afford it. She got a more reliable car after her old one started causing problems. She goes out to nicer restaurants because she works hard and life is stressful, and everyone she knows does the same thing. Sarah is a completely normal person living a completely normal financial life. And that is exactly the problem. What Sarah is experiencing has a name. It is called lifestyle creep. And it is one of the most common, most powerful, and most overlooked wealth destroyers in personal finance. Today we are going to talk about what it actually is, why it happens, and how to stop it before it quietly erases your financial future. Make sure you subscribe if you want to understand the money traps that nobody talks about. We cover this stuff every week. Let us start with the science, because lifestyle creep is not just a spending problem. It is a brain problem. There is a psychological phenomenon called hedonic adaptation. It was studied extensively by Nobel Prize-winning psychologist Daniel Kahneman, among others. And what it basically says is this: human beings have a remarkable ability to adapt to new circumstances very quickly, no matter how good or bad those circumstances are. We return to a relatively stable baseline level of satisfaction regardless of what changes in our lives. What this means in practical terms is that every time something in your life improves, the improvement feels incredible for a short period of time. Then it becomes your new normal. And then it no longer feels like an improvement at all. It just becomes the baseline you expect. You upgrade from a studio apartment to a 1-bedroom. It feels amazing for about 3 months. Then it is just your apartment. The novelty is completely gone. You have adapted. And now your brain is quietly looking for the next upgrade. The same thing happens with cars, with clothes, with vacations, with restaurants, with every single category of spending in your life. The improvement temporarily raises your satisfaction, and then you adapt, and then you need a bigger improvement just to feel the same level of enjoyment. This is sometimes called the hedonic treadmill. And it is not a flaw in certain people's character. It is a feature of how all human brains work. It probably evolved because organisms that were always seeking improvement had advantages over organisms that settled for whatever they had. But in the modern world of unlimited consumer options and easy credit, it is extraordinarily expensive to be human. Now let us look at where lifestyle creep actually hides, because once you can see it by category, it becomes much harder to ignore. The first category is housing. This is the biggest one by a significant margin. When income rises, people almost automatically look for a nicer, bigger, more expensive place to live. Not necessarily because they need more space, because they can now afford more space. The average size of a new American home has nearly tripled since the 1950s, even as average household size has actually decreased. We are buying more house per person than at any point in history, not because houses objectively deliver more value, but because rising incomes make more house feel accessible and therefore desirable. The second category is transportation. Financial researchers who study millionaire behavior consistently find that wealthy people hold onto vehicles for a long time and drive used cars at surprisingly high rates. Most middle-class Americans, by contrast, trade in their car every 4 to 5 years. The moment one loan is paid off, they finance a newer model. This habit, sustained across a lifetime, costs a staggering amount of money that most people never actually calculate. The third category is food. There is nothing wrong with enjoying good food. But the shift from cooking at home as the default to eating out as the default, or from casual restaurants to nicer ones, can represent a massive monthly difference in spending that feels like just living your life, but adds up to tens of thousands of dollars per year across a decade. The fourth category is subscriptions. These are the sneakiest ones because they are small individually and nearly invisible collectively. A streaming service here, a gym membership there, a meal kit delivery, a music app, a news subscription, a software tool. Individually, they look harmless. Collectively, many households are spending $300 to $500 or more per month on subscriptions they signed up for during a free trial and forgot about entirely. The fifth category is social spending. This might be the most psychologically powerful one on this list. As your income rises, your social circle often shifts. The people around you earn more and spend more. Going out for drinks costs more. Weddings get fancier. Vacations get upgraded. Birthday dinners move to nicer restaurants. Social comparison is one of the most powerful behavioral forces that exists, and it pulls spending upward almost invisibly because it always feels like keeping up with friends rather than financial recklessness. Now, let us do the math because the math here is genuinely eye-opening once you run it. You get a $10,000 raise. After taxes, maybe you take home $6,500 extra dollars per year. That is roughly $540 extra per month. If lifestyle absorbs it entirely, which is what happens in the vast majority of cases, that $540 disappears into a nicer apartment, a slightly better car, more dining out, a couple more subscriptions. Net effect on wealth, zero. In fact, often worse than zero because lifestyle upgrades frequently come with commitments like higher rent or a car payment that are difficult to reverse. But now consider what happens if you commit just half of that raise to investments before your lifestyle adjusts to it. That is $270 per month going directly into an index fund. $270 per month at 8% annual returns over 20 years is approximately $158,000. From a partial raise, one raise, and only half of it going to investments. Now imagine applying this principle to every raise, every bonus, every income increase you receive over the next 20 years. The gap between those two outcomes is not small. It is the difference between struggling in retirement and having genuine financial security. The solution is almost deceptively simple, which is part of why so few people actually implement it. Commit to a percentage of every raise before your lifestyle has a chance to adjust. Financial researchers call this the pay yourself first principle. The specific mechanism that makes it work is automation. On the day a raise takes effect, increase your automatic investment contribution by at least 50% of the after-tax raise amount. The money never lands in your checking account in a way that feels available to spend. You never have to make the difficult decision each month because the decision was already made once and then automated forever. The key insight here is that lifestyle adjusts to whatever feels available. If $500 extra dollars hits your checking account every month, your lifestyle will find a way to spend it within 3 months. But if it goes directly to investments first, your lifestyle adjusts to a lower baseline and you genuinely do not miss it. Behavioral research on this is very consistent. Money people never see, they never miss. Here's what I want to leave you with. Lifestyle creep is not about being bad with money. It is about being human. The hedonic treadmill is real. It runs in every person's brain, and it has been running since before you were born. Knowing that does not make you immune to it. But it changes your relationship with the upgrade impulse. The next time you feel that pull toward a nicer apartment, a newer car, a subscription you do not technically need, I'm not saying never do it. I'm saying pause for 10 seconds and ask yourself one question. Is this a genuine improvement to my life? Or is this just my brain chasing its next baseline reset? That question, asked consistently, is worth more than any specific budget trick I could give you. It is the mental habit that separates people who build wealth from people who earn a lot and wonder where it all went.